How's it going, Laser Bruce is up, I'll be Sixkilla and welcome back to the Sekimeiya. Now, we are searching the place for the culprit once again, which, of course, we're not going to find the culprit of whoever killed but not really Edina. And also who killed but absolutely Naomi. And Mia as well, apparently. Let's carry on, shall we? We began to put the plan into effect. If one of us was the real culprit, they could purposely leave someone undiscovered. That's why all of us looked everywhere there was to look, so that everyone could agree with the result in the end. Since Isla had claimed she found the Sekimeiya in one of the wardrobes, it was possible something had gone unseen for a while. We didn't only look for people, but for anything. Every floor had a place where someone could wait to prevent anyone else from passing. Edina and Isla took that job to make the search valid. Doing all of it took a while, but on floor 3, the search hadn't gone any differently from the others. We still had 0 results. We're in front of the floor 2 partitions, ready to move onto the last floor. We expected to be stopped on the way to the staircase, as Isla couldn't be allowed to walk down. And yet our expectations were betrayed. Look at the elevator. Next to the elevator, the metallic panel holding the button was properly attached. Oh, what the fuck? Weren't all the buttons inside it when we sent it up? I don't know. Maybe one had been taken out. It doesn't matter, don't press it. Someone is guaranteed to have been on the crystal floor, and their only way out is the storeroom. Just in case, we shouldn't bring the elevator here. Isla, give Curator the Sekimeiya. It's too dangerous to go down. Huh? No. So I was the first to walk down while Atsuki looked at the bathrooms. Meanwhile, Isla kept tightening her arms, reluctant to let go of the Sekimeiya. Isla, this is important, you can't go down there. It's just to the event room. Edina, it's fine, you can both come. What? Not a chance. Look, just get down here. Don't argue. I looked through the door and understood what Sai meant. There was no blood. Not only that, but I walked down and there was no body anywhere. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. Was it all removed? What, with a mop? Wouldn't stains be visible? The button has been reattached here as well. I'll just go to the event room. Wait. Edina dashed ahead of her and opened the door herself. It didn't seem like there was anything inside. Whatever put it in. Oh, whatever, put it in. Nobody can leave this floor without being seen at least. Okay. Wait, it's still here. Huh? Really? Atsuki had uncovered the curtain and the truth was plain to see. The Sekimeiya was still on its cushion. Oh, there are 2 of them. Isla rapidly unwrapped the sheet to prove that she hadn't lied. Hang on, it's not here. The thread I left. It's not here, the Sekimeiya. Isla desperately looked all through the sheet, but the Sekimeiya wasn't there. I promise I didn't lie. I had it here. Atsuki crouched and felt the cloth. You didn't lie, it's burning. Yeah, it's starting to feel hot on the 4th floor. You felt it when the Sekimeiya was in the center? It must have been ridiculously hot then. Also, the cabinet is still locked. It's surprising the sheet didn't catch fire then. Is that what you're implying? That it was taken out of the cabinet since the thread is gone, and then brought to the attic? That at some point it teleported inside again? I'm not implying anything, but that's what could have happened. That does make sense. It really doesn't. The cabinet is locked. That doesn't make sense, it really doesn't. The cabinet is locked. That would mean that whoever took the Sekimeiya out locked the cabinet while it was empty. Let me take the Sekimeiya. Curator and Katai, you watch the stairs. Why? Because the last time it wasn't working, remember? I can test if it is now without activating it. Okay. Is that really okay? We came here to leave it where it's safe. We need to understand what's happening. It must be done. That doesn't sound like you, Curator. After all that time, I still had the keyring, so I took it out and unlocked the cabinet. Sai grabbed the Sekimeiya with the sleeves, causing the curtain to fall, and put it in the middle of the sheet. He then closed the glass. It was very cold, so let's see if that changes. He wrapped it around with 1 layer of the cloth and waited for a few seconds with his hand over it. It's getting hot, definitely. When Atsuki tried, he agreed as well. Alright, I'm sure there's someone on this floor. Don't take your eyes off the stairs. I'm not sure we'll find them though. Why do you say that? The last time, the Sekimeiya disappeared from my hands when I walked to the event room, and this time it disappeared from within the sheet when we were walking to the event room. Could it be related to that? Back then you said it was burning and you could hardly hold it. Is it possible it teleports when it gets too hot? And the next time we found it, it wasn't working. It could be that. It's working now, but we can test it. If the outer layer of the sheet felt too hot for Isla, it's possible that It making the sheet hot made it heat up even more quickly. So I wrapped the Sekimeiya up completely once again. Like this, I can easily tell if the Sekimeiya is still here or not. We waited a bit, but ultimately, to know if it had disappeared, the ball would have to be unwrapped. You remember when it disappeared the last time, right? Immediately after that, our footprints had disappeared from the attic. I suppose I can try leaving and entering this room, if that's what could be doing it. He picked up the sheet and went in and out of the door a couple of times. Yeah, it seems that if it disappears, it appears somewhere close by. It might be impossible to understand what it's doing though. And if we have it, we can at least keep it locked up. There's no way I'm holding it, right? It must still be in the center of the sheet. Let's just finish the sedge. So I dropped the ball on the floor of hallway A, where you can view the staircase as well. He grabbed one edge of the sheet and began to unroll it. I think it's still here. Oh, the sheet disappeared. Between Sai's hands, not only had the sheet vanished, but also the Sekimeiya. It did happen again. I was able to see that the Sekimeiya was there. It disappeared when Sai touched it. But why is the sheet gone too? I couldn't touch it anymore because of how hot it was. That could be why it also disappeared. Isla must have been touching it when the Sekimeiya teleported the previous time. She couldn't have touched the Sekimeiya itself though. What? Oh my god, I almost had a heart attack. The door had fucking closed. So I stood up rapidly and opened the event room, but you didn't see anyone. It didn't make a sound. Was it the Sekimeiya? Sai uncovered cabinet's curtain. At that time it was empty and still unlocked. I noticed that the hallway B door was slightly open. I thought that had changed too. This is going way beyond me. If there's someone on this floor, let's just fucking find them. I have no idea if we're right. Maybe the Sekimeiya overheats and teleports away, but only this time, it happened when it was touched. So I went straight to the storeroom and came back with the information we needed to know the most. It hasn't been opened again. That made everyone even tenser. The chance to find the culprit was closer than ever. Fuck, let's hurry. The Sekimeiya might have appeared on this floor. I didn't think this through. If someone's actually here, there's a chance it'll allow them to escape. Like before, while Edna and Isla stayed outside, all of us went to inspect every individual room. I was first to enter room A1. Within one of the cabinets, I found the Sekimeiya. I hesitated a little, but I had no reason to keep it to myself anymore. And it was going to be found anyway. I made sure not to touch it directly and brought it to the hallway. You found it? Thank God! Was it inside a cabinet again? Yeah. It's not locked anymore. We faced Sai and saw that he'd opened the security room. When most of us ran in, we were met with the many powered off screens. Sai pressed the power button of the computer and it started up. However, right after that, it automatically shut down. What the hell? Is some piece of hardware not being detected? Hey, come to the lobby. Akado's strained voice made us abandon the computer. Behind the door to the lobby, deja vu was what awaited us. Oh man, not again. Not more bodies. Is it not Edna again, please? She's gone? Again? Now 2 bodies have disappeared, and both of them were definitely dead. If they're not on this floor, I'm just lost. Wait, no, I'm so stupid. What have you done? I know it looks like she vanished, but I think there's more to it. Naomi and the policeman are still here, but do you remember when I brought both bodies to the lobby? I don't think the policeman was here. Excuse me? I think I just placed them near the door and hardly paid attention. I think I didn't realise the policeman had disappeared. I remember this part of the floor being completely empty for the second I looked at it. We could hardly be surprised anymore, and there was very little reason to doubt Akado. So the policeman disappeared and reappeared. Let's make sure we can't find the other bodies before I go insane. Oh wait, look at Naomi's head. From the wound she had, quite a bit of blood was pouring out. Yes, more blood is coming out than before. And it seems like it started just now, right? Otherwise, the pool on the floor would be much bigger. You're right. Edna had kept Isla close to hallway C, so that she wouldn't go near the lobby. Hammered by 1,000 new questions, we confirmed that there was nothing in the room below us. Afterward, I had something to say. The Sekimeiya isn't getting hotter yet. That's not normal, right? Oh, is it not working again? Sai felt my sleeve and confirmed that it wasn't hot at all. It's just like before, after teleporting it doesn't work. Right. Well, just leave it in the cabinet. We only have hallway B left. Knowing that thinking about anything would be useless until every room was searched, we walked to hallway B. There, the same procedure started. We moved in coordination from room to room, looking at every cabinet along the way. Rapidly, the number of remaining places kept decreasing as we approached the bathrooms. Finally, There were none left. In no location of the building had there been a person, or either of the bodies that had vanished. In addition, according to Sai, the storeroom door hadn't opened again. The answer, no matter what it was, must have hinged on the Sekimeiya. There's nothing else we can do. Even if there really is a culprit with us, they know how not to be found. It's very clear that whatever's been happening here is way over our heads. Sai felt my sleeve again, failing to notice any heat. He touched the Sekimeiya and nothing happened. Don't touch it again. Our priority at this point is just to make it out of here safely. There was really no rebuttal to that. Since we've been unable to figure anything out, the sensation lingered. If we truly were up against a real culprit, we were no match for them. And if 4 people had died due to being threats to that person, our single goal was to not become a threat ourselves. We just performed a perfect search. There was no room for anyone to be hiding. And as a result, there was absolutely nothing more we could do to fight back. We had to resign ourselves to passing the time and nothing more. Next to Edina and Isla was the elevator. We walked to it, following Sai. The elevator was in the attic when we left, but I didn't count on the buttons being reattached. I can think of one way the culprit could have escaped. We saw that the button had been reattached on the 2nd floor. When we were inspecting the partitions, perhaps the culprit called the elevator. If it came from the attic, we would have heard it since we were on the same floor as the elevator. Similarly, if they immediately took it to escape to another floor, we wouldn't have heard that either. No, that couldn't have happened. No, what do you mean? Someone was always watching the stairs and elevator since we came to the crystal floor, right? Yeah. So look, the elevator is open. What? You're right. The door wasn't properly closed. A very tiny gap was keeping it open. There's nothing. All the buttons are gone, even the blood is. But I see what you mean. The elevator must have been here when the door was open since we came. So if the culprit took it on the 2nd floor, they must have gotten off here. This doesn't make any sense. How did the elevator get here? If it came before us, we would have heard it. Yeah, I can only think of the way I said. When we were on the 2nd floor, the culprit called it, which was imperceptible for us. They brought it here, left with all the panels, and kept the door open. That's the only thing that makes any sense, but it still doesn't explain how the hell they managed to not be found. I guess there's one way. The Sekimeiya disappeared from the sheet Isla was carrying, right? And we found it inside the cabinet in the event room. Even if the culprit had been here, they could have escaped with the Sekimeiya because they would have left the glass of the cabinet open. I guess it's possible that they found it somewhere else, and after their travel, it teleported to the cabinet. That's all I can think. Our conclusion didn't change. There was absolutely nothing we could do. We placed the Sekimeiya in the cabinet and locked it. Afterward, I had the chance to go to the security room and I saw Atsuki was already there. The time displayed on the BIOS was 3:45, which was 5 minutes after we'd left the Sekimeiya in the cabinet. Katai was drawn in by the open door when the computer had already been shut down. He said he wanted to get to the bottom of the issue, so we left him behind, working in his room. Despite Edina saying that she and Isla would go back to the attic after we finished searching, they were still on the crystal floor. As 2 dead bodies had disappeared and the search had indicated that one of us was likely to be the culprit, Isla's request had been accepted and they'd stayed in room A1. It finally began to feel like our goal was waiting for the exit to unlock. For many minutes, nothing happened. Sai and Akado were in the lobby, avoiding the sight of the blood flowing out of Naomi's head. Atsuki sat on the staircase in hallway C. I roamed around the floor a couple of times, and none of their positions changed. There were 5 hours left until 9 o'clock, and I never had an easy time waiting still. It didn't seem like anyone had more business with the Sekimeiya or any interest in continuing to argue. Well, that was the ideal scenario. Having to simply wait began to stress me out. Over the span of an hour, I was the only person wandering around. Nobody said anything to me as they waited patiently. My body started to severely repulse the repetitive colours of the walls, and going over all the gems had only been entertaining for so long. I walked to the staircase where Atsuki was. Apparently, he was there to keep an eye on the storeroom so that nobody could enter the building. Before I could say anything, he asked me to briefly take over for him as he attempted to use the Sekimeiya. Suddenly, we unlocked a cabinet, but it didn't seem like the Sekimeiya had started working. We go to the attic. I didn't think anyone had left the crystal floor in a while, and even though staying with the rest was safer, we confirmed every floor was empty. But it didn't make any sense. Who would remove the bodies? Who would mess with the elevator buttons? Who would open the storeroom door? Atsuki sounded hesitant at first, but he dropped it quickly. The tiredness was kicking in, and I missed letting the time pass on the bed. I looked at the elevator, which I still found unsettling, and opened the door. It was empty. There was nobody inside, no buttons, and no blood either. I walked up and stared. As I ascended the floors, the thought strengthened. What were we doing? Someone else is with us. The button had been attached to on the 3rd floor, and the 4th, and on the 4th, on the 5th, on the 6th. I arrived at the attic door and noticed that the key was no longer inserted into the keyhole. I turned the knob and opened the door slowly. It was still unlocked. I fixed my eyes on the floor of the living room. Our footprints were faded, and it didn't seem like anyone had been there very recently. Next to the elevator was a metallic panel with its buttons, exactly where it was designed to be. It only made my head feel more numb. Had someone really reattached all of them when we'd not been looking? I approached both bedrooms. Even though I couldn't sense anyone around, I wasn't going to look. I opened the left door and sat on the bed. There was no way I could feel comfortable. The uneasiness immobilized me for a long time, until I was able to lie down. I had my purse next to me, and that time I shut the light off. That finally allowed me to close my eyes and hope that the next time I opened them, I could walk out of the tower. Yeah, I find that highly unlikely, but whatever. I can't blame you for wanting that. I didn't realize I'd fallen asleep, but a noise caused me to wake up. Once I'd regained my senses, I sharpened them to try to distinguish what I'd heard, but nothing else reached me. The situation repeated. I felt like I'd blanked in and out of existence, but that time, the sound that woke me up was louder. Next to me, the door opened. Then the light came on. I hid my face under the sheet, facing the wall. With no strength to react, I waited. Are you awake? It was Atsuki's voice. I didn't want to reply, so I kept quiet, figuring that if he had something important to say, he'd try to wake me up. Instead, the light turned back off. Soon, so did I. The faintest sounds kept waking me up. They'd started coming from above me. Someone had gone up the ladder. I tried not to mind it and kept sleeping. However, I felt almost rested, as if I'd slept for hours. Minutes after falling to sleep again, I stretched my limbs and yawned deeply. It was very dark, but my purse was still on the bed. I grabbed it, slowly sat up, and then stood. I had no sense of space, but it wasn't unpleasant. It couldn't be too late either, since it was likely I would have been woken up before the deadline, and I didn't think that Katai would like Ashiya to enter the tower and find someone sleeping in the attic. Out of nowhere, the light turned on. I found myself standing in the middle of the room alone. Did you do that? Are you Atsuki? I looked at the ceiling, figuring someone above me had turned on the switch, but there was no response. Hey, yeah. Instead, a petrifying yell came from the door. Where are you? I stared at the closed door before I slowly walked to it, wondering if I was losing it. Are you still here? I turned the handle slowly and peered into the hallway. The voice was coming from in front of me. I just heard you. Please open the door. How's this possible? It's her again. I wasn't taken aback anymore or even afraid. I just wanted out. Between the two bedrooms, I wondered if I was being consciously punished. That couldn't be. But as much as I despised it, it was reality. Once again, the obvious laws of the world were being flagrantly defied. You're still here, right? What are you planning? Was she actually talking to me? I had no idea. While I wanted to know what was happening, I knew I wouldn't try to open the door. Instead, hiding my presence as much as I could, I stepped back into the living room. I know you're here. At least answer it. I couldn't tell anymore if she was still yelling. I looked down and saw recent footsteps going from the hallway to the staircase. I gripped the handle and tried to open the door. It was locked. From my purse, I took the keys out and got the door open. On the other side, I inserted the key into the keyhole again and rotated it. I didn't know whether to keep going forward. The 6th floor felt desolate, and I had no objective. Perhaps not trying to find out what was happening was smarter. However, someone had been above me in the bedroom, and they hadn't answered my question. That was what made me keep walking away from the door. I walked down the next staircase, as the echo of my own footsteps accompanied me. If people were still waiting in the lobby, I could stay there. I hardly felt like I was alive as I descended the mirrored floors. The entire sequence of events felt like nothing more than a dream. I trudged through all of them until a grey door was in front of me. Atsuki was no longer sitting on the lowest step behind it. Instead, there was a trail of fresh blood that led to the event room. The floor had a strange smell to it. It could have been the same one we'd smelled throughout the day, but I didn't think that was all. Cautiously, I walked to the lobby. The blood I'd seen shouldn't have been enough to cause someone to die, but there was an imposing, foreboding atmosphere permeating the crystal floor. Nobody. The two bodies had disappeared with almost all the blood, and only the shadow remained. Partially unable to believe it, I took timid steps toward the centre of the lobby where I saw its emptiness was absolute. When I opened the hallway B door, the sensation was identical. Was it possible I was alone? The urge to find someone increased. I didn't want to go back to the attic despite knowing it was inhabited. I tried to uncoil my tightly wound muscles and open my mouth. Hey, is anyone here? I received no answer, but one of the open doors grabbed my curiosity. It was the staff rooms. It stood out, as another trail of blood led into it. I approached it, but once inside I wasn't sure it had been the right call. I stood still and smelled the air. It was somehow fairly strong, but it wasn't a particular smell anymore. Although it didn't seem like the blood on the floor ended at any locker in particular, the room could have been the starting point. Something Atsuki had said came to mind. One of the keys I had could have belonged to Naomi's locker. We hadn't tried that yet. If he was right, the possibility that a phone could have been found was non-zero. I looked at the keys on my palm and thought the smallest one could fit in the lockers. I inserted it into the first one and tried to turn it. However, the whole locker shook, refusing to open. Then a metallic sound rang out in front of me. Something had hit the locker from the inside. I looked up and saw 3 slits in the door. Despite the darkness that should have existed behind them, I discerned a glow. It could only have been one thing. Despite being filled with questions, my mind was blank. My hand was drawn to the figure that had begun to take shape behind the dark lines. And through the narrow space I made contact, hoping with all my might that I'd be brought to the awaited time. However, hallway A was my next sight. Then I fell to the floor immediately after appearing. Disoriented and confused, I stood back up. I had no way to know how far I'd been sent. It mustn't have been too long. The hallway looked as desolate as before. I walked ahead and opened the security room. An unexpected realization hit me instantly. Katai was dead. The stench of his blood had been secluded within the room. It seemed he'd managed to get the computer back to work. Its buzzing added to the surrealness. I approached cautiously, trying not to breathe. When I pressed a key, the 3 screens lit up, and on the middle one I saw a message. Cameras disabled, and associated footage erased. At 10:04, the recordings were erased. The screen also showed the time, 6:21. Directly below it was Katai's head, the epicenter of all the blood. It was beyond doubt that he'd been killed as well. I recalled the person above me in the bedroom. Who had it been? And what had happened while I'd been asleep? I left the room behind. Next I went directly to one of the closed doors in the hallway. Wait, that... High up, something caught my attention. Through the smoke, a circular intermittent green light could have been seen on one of the cameras. I spun in place and saw that many of them had it. I remembered the last time I'd seen that light. It had been very early in the morning. The computer. Re-enabled the cameras. This must really mean that they weren't recording until now, right? Hopefully, I entered one of the doors. There was something else I had to see. The cabinet was covered by its curtain. If the Sekimeiya was behind it, it was possible something else would soon be on the crystal floor. It wasn't. The cabinet was completely empty. I let go of the curtain and stepped back, startled. Just next to my feet, I noticed there was a bit of blood. That made 4 places I'd seen some. I'd run away from the attic, but even if I wanted to go back, there was no guarantee anyone would be there at the moment. Hallway B was still empty, but I understood my situation. Any room could have been hiding a new death. Now the staff room is closed, unlike many others. Is someone going to enter it soon? I moved to the centre of the hallway, dwarfed by its overwhelming walls. There, I felt genuinely scared for my life. And I avoided being a target by going to the attic? Unable to decide on whether to go back up, I remained paralysed. Then I realised that there was no longer blood on the floor. It hadn't hit me yet, but travelling to the past had erased it. Who are you? Edna, you scared me. What's with all this blood? Wait, who am I? Are you... Who are you? I don't think I've seen you before. How'd you get here? I don't know what that means. I'm Mia. I've been here the whole time. Do you not remember? I'm Mia? No, we're Shiroya. How the fuck are we Mia? Mia? My head hurts a lot. I don't remember you. What happened? Did you get hurt? Where are the others? We went to sleep Shiroya and we woke up Mia? Or did we go to sleep Shiroya and then touch the Sekimeiya and become Mia? Okay, whatever. I got hit in the head, yes. And I don't know, I haven't seen anyone in a long time. How'd you get hit? You're covered in blood. I don't know, I was knocked out from behind. What? What happened to the bodies? Huh? Naomi and the policeman, did they disappear? Naomi? No, the first one's there. There? Why? I approached the door. On the floor, 2 kittens lay, one covering Naomi's body. See, we're back in the other timeline. The one that we started with. See? Why was she brought here? What? Hasn't she been here since she died? No, we brought her to the lobby. You really not remember? What about the policeman? What policeman? She was definitely not mentally stable. The hit she'd suffered must have been very grave, and going off the blood, she might have only survived due to luck. However, something told me that that wasn't it. The dried up blood on her. Could she have been the body that had disappeared? I stared at her and forced that thought out of my mind. I looked around the room, figuring there wasn't much to learn from Edina. However, someone had tried to kill her, so my worries had been warranted. When I saw the cameras, I realised that the green light wasn't there despite the lack of smoke. Then my attention was grabbed by a temperature regulation wheel next to a cabinet. Why is that broken? Oh yeah, I think that's how we found it. I walked to it, frowning. How could the wheel have broken? It had been undamaged earlier. The temperature was set to 0. I grabbed the bottom of the lid and tried to lift it up. It was locked, so I had to unlock it, the way I'd seen it done the last time wheel searched. Oh, what? It's the Sekimeiya, and the cabinet is super cold. But we already took it out. I don't understand you. It needs to be put in the cabinet. It could get damaged. Oh, yes. I reached into the cabinet and picked up the Sekimeiya without directly touching it. It was considerably cold. I didn't think that touching it would send me far through time, but as it could have made me stay trapped in the building for longer, I decided I wouldn't do it again. Why are you holding it like that? Do you not remember that either? Oh right, it continued the past. Yeah. I left Hallway B, unsettled by Edina's attitude. Part of me wondered if she was trying to deceive me. Have you gone to the past? What? Yes, I guess you really don't remember. I left the Sekimeiya in the cabinet. What did you do after? What does that mean? Did you change the past? To some degree, why are you asking this? Then this is how. Is she going to attack us? When was the last time you saw the others? I don't remember. Oh, in the attic I think. I haven't gone back. Why not? What about Isla? I was with her until just now. What? That's not what you said just before. No, I didn't say anything about her. You said you hadn't seen anyone in a while. Oh, I guess so. I didn't include her. Why not? Where'd you see her? She's still in the same room. What room? We entered hallway A and Edina brought me to the furthest crystal room. In the centre of the smoke-stained walls, one of the cabinets was open. Within it, Isla rested, with a pale and somewhat peaceful expression. Wait, she's... I knew it. You've been here all this time. It wasn't me. Of course I've been here. What happened to her? Can't you see it? She was killed. Was it you? You could have done it if it's true that you were here. I don't know what you're talking about. Tell me directly. When did this happen? It was many hours ago. It's been hours. That's not true. You're mistaken. It couldn't have been more than 3 hours ago. No, it's been more than that. That wasn't right. I let go of the breath I'd been holding and looked at Isla again. Didn't seem like there was any blood around her, but her mobile face and chest were confirmation enough of her death. Edina had gone quiet too, and she was making no effort at hiding how much she was trying to focus. However, the thoughts whirling through her head were indecipherable. I waited, thinking that she'd had something to say at any moment. Was anyone else killed? I saw Katai's body in the security room. No, I don't think so. So the rest were in the attic. I was utterly confused, but that seemed to be the conclusion. It was possible I was sleeping up there at that moment as well. What are you doing? I still felt like I'd never seen you before. Did you lock the cabinet? The cabinet? No, I didn't. She had snatched the keys from my purse and was staring at them in her hand. These keys, why do you have them? Is this one for the cabinet? With a quick motion I took them back, and she started to react. She failed to react. I didn't get it. What are you... Shidoya, hey, where are you? Atsuki? Did he see her? I dashed out of the room, paying no mind to Edina's surprise. Shidoya, can you hear me? The voice was coming from hallway B. Did that mean she was down there as well? I rapidly reached the staircase and went up half of the way. From behind the grey door I saw Edina's feet, and she wandered in confusion. You're okay, right? If you... please... thing... The sound dropped soon after Edina followed it. Did that mean that she'd been found? Had Atsuki given up? As I thought, I noticed one thing. A trail of blood had disappeared from there too. That meant that it was still to happen. I began to slowly step down. I wonder what I'd be told if I showed myself. If I showed myself. It was hard to care about that, with how much I wanted to know what the fuck was happening. Edina wasn't there anymore. As I approached hallway B, the voices came back. Hearing them earlier, were you? Who the hell are you? Or even you? How can you two exist? What? Does he really know why she's here? He sounded close to the lobby, but I didn't peek in. I understand. Did it pop into existence? When their intensity went down, understanding them got much harder. However, I could tell that Edina's grogginess was still in play. Out, Edina. I think what happened. What's that tone of voice? When did she even get to know Edina? Edina never accused me of not having been here previously. Even accused me of not having been here previously. So why didn't she say that to her too? She's the one who hasn't been here, and earlier it sounded like she'd been locked in the attic. Had the person above me done that? And that's still yet to happen. They opened a door. It must have been closer to me, as I started to understand them more easily. I'm not sure, I remember I was drawn to this room, and then I think I blacked out. That was close to what she told me. Are you the same Shiroya who disappeared from the event room with Sai? I wish I could explain everything to you, but I still don't really know what happened. But yes, I'm really glad to see you again. While I didn't understand Atsuki's question, it was clear something had happened while I'd been asleep. It all sounded like she was alive, and neither of them knew how that had come to occur. What's with these clothes then? Why is the cross not on them? Why'd you ignore me when we saw each other in the event room, and I kept shouting your name? Well, hey, I'm still confused, but I have a question. The Sekimeiya, does it really make you travel through time? A girl? You saw Shiroya? I guess it couldn't have been anyone else. It must have been Shiroya. Edina asked for the Sekimeiya, but it sounded like neither of them knew where it was. However, despite Edina's condition, we'd brought it to the event room minutes earlier, so she wasn't satisfied when she was told it wasn't there. That's not it at all. Remember that Sai and Akudo took the cabinet key? They probably have the Sekimeiya. Their words kept making no sense. I was the one who had the key. They entered the event room. As soon as the door closed, it acted as a barrier for the sound inside. Once I was certain the hallway was empty, I stepped in. I approached the door and placed my ear against it. I couldn't hear anything. Did they leave? Finally, I heard a sound coming from the room. The opposite door had opened. Fucking here, it's like plan of... The door is too thick to make anything out. It sounds like he's close to the cabinet. I recognised Sai's voice, but not what he said. For as long as I stayed there, I didn't comprehend anything. I knew I could be found out easily, but I wasn't against that. In fact, I considered opening the door, but I would listen from afar as long as I could. I silently entered the staff room, then I placed my ear against the left wall, which was directly next to the cabinet. Is that? Don't mind me. Like you said. It was still hard to hear Sai, but the thin wall made Atsuki's voice interpretable. It's just a personal paper, nothing to do with you or the Sekimeiya. So did any of you see Mia? There, is she gonna say it? You don't know her, right? I knew I wasn't going insane. How do you know that name? Huh? She's the person I was with earlier, before I saw you two. It just came back to me. I don't know where she went though. What's with Arius? That's not it. Not just some name she made up. Do you know? We do, but Edina couldn't have seen her. She couldn't be here. I couldn't process what I was hearing. Was I actually being punished? That ridiculous possibility was only becoming more of a reality. That's not what she means. She's not anywhere right now. Oh, dead? Dead? Are they really talking about me? What the fuck is this? Of course I'm not dead. Shut up. Right? Saving with Sekimeiya, not... Sai, shut the fuck up. If it was, I promise you that we would have done it. I was right there. I've been right there the whole time. What were they talking about? I didn't know whether I should have entered the room or not. I was a lot more hesitant, and it almost felt as if they knew that I was listening in on them. It's probably been minutes already, right? 15 minutes arrived? Are you sure I'll go back far enough? I'm going then. You coming with me? Is she about to touch the Sekimeiya? She said earlier that she wanted to save Isla. Did they figure out how to use the Sekimeiya? They've only been there a few minutes. Was the past going to be changed? That could have already been happening. It was possible that while I've been sleeping, the past had changed drastically. Was I living in a world completely different from the one I'd gone to sleep in? What? Wait, what? Why didn't it work? Did Sai disappear? Was everything he said a lie? I couldn't tell what had happened. Had Sai left or had he travelled? You ever want me to save Isla? You involved in the first place? You're wrong, we don't know how the Sekimeiya works, but this shouldn't have happened. Did nothing happen? I've been completely frozen for minutes, trying to pick up everything I could. Wait, where did it go? It's not here. It teleported. Oh. Oh. The Sekimeiya teleported? It was activated, but they didn't travel. Only the Sekimeiya teleported. That happened before. Atsuki, tell me, what do I need to do to travel through time? Exactly what Cyanide told you. I don't know why it didn't work just now. They haven't experienced this before, is that it? That idea was the driving force that made me immediately turn around and dash to the door. It's closed. I didn't close it. The Sekimeiya had seemingly vanished by itself. I just had an epiphany, but instead of trying to think everything through, I opened the door and ran to Hallway C. Alright, we need to wrap this one up here. Shit just got mad. I didn't expect our... Because we went to sleep Shidoya, and at some point we became Mia. I don't know how. I don't know why. But now they're all talking about how we did, which we totally should be, so... But when we were doing this bit in the last run, we didn't actually see Mia, did we? I don't actually remember if we saw Mia. It was very long. Okay, I'm sorry. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.